Well, we're just over a week away from the biggest fight in recent times in Britain. I was going to say Lennox Lewis and Frank Bruno, but that was in the 90s. Doesn't time fly? I think that was about 92. Yeah, I'm sure it was 92, 93. I can't quite remember. My brain goes a bit numb sometimes on fight dates. But, we've got the big fight camp, and it's been interesting. We've not heard a word from the Dillian White camp. We know they're here in the Algarve training. I'm not sure if he's moved his training resort from Villamora up into the mountains in Portugal. It's going to be interesting because he's here in Portugal training, which is only a 2.5 hour flight to the UK. So will he fly in for a full week? Will he fly in for the face-to-face press conference? Will he be at the face-to-face press conference? Or will he just fly in on the Thursday, do the weigh-in on Friday, and turn up and fight on Saturday? He's playing a very risky game, Dillian. I mean, whoever's advising him, I believe, has advised him really wrong. Because he's alienating some. I read a lot of the comments on YouTube when you hear interviews from Warren and Tyson Fury, and I listen to TalkSport and read their comments. And some of you say Dillian White's being very clever. If he wins, he's been clever. If he loses, I think he'll be really maybe one of the forgotten men of British boxing. Eddie Hearns will have to bring him back. And will Eddie want to bring him back? What fight would there be for him? There would be, I suppose, a rematch with AJ. But it's interesting because he could end up with 2 fights on his hands. Let's not underestimate the old fox, Frank Warren. I've been listening to all his interviews. He's playing everything very clever and very close to his chest. But my opinion, knowing Frank, is he will put Dillian White's purse into escrow, and it'll be in escrow while he takes a court case out against him. That's the Frank Warren. That's, I think, what would be Frank Warren's move, and that's, in my opinion. I'm not saying that's what he will do, but that's possibly what he could do, and sue Dillian for breach of contract and for not helping promote the show if it is in the agreement that he says that Dillian should attend. I'm sure in the WBC press conference you have to do certain amount of work to help promote the fight. He could, if the pay-per-view figures are not as good as they expect, he could claim Dillian White and blame him for that, for not doing PR. So it's very interesting. But what's more interesting to me is the tactics that are going to be used. Because we have Harold Knight, that was a protege of Emanuel Steward, and I watched Harold Knight's career develop as a trainer. Harold Knight was the last boxer to fight for over 15 rounds for a world title. I think he lost to Rocky Lockridge. I'm sure Harold will correct me if I'm wrong. In an IBF lightweight title fight. And Harold was going to join us as a fighter because he was trained with the late John Davenport, who was a great instructor for a fighter in his early part of his career, teaching you the basics, teaching you discipline. I had a lot of clashes with John Davenport when he was Lennox's trainer, but I also had a lot of time and respect for the man. And he wanted Harold Knight to join us as a boxer. He came over. Unfortunately, there was a medical aspect, so Harold couldn't box. So John asked if we would take Harold on as an assistant trainer. So he worked, and we did, and he turned out to be a good trainer and a good learner. He studied under John Davenport for at least 4 or 5 years of Lennox's career. He then worked under Pepe Carrera, which we all, less said the better. Thank heavens he didn't pick any bad habits from Pepe up. Then he then became this second coach to the Emanuel Steward, and he learns a lot from Emanuel Steward. And then, so I really rate him, and you saw the difference in Dillian's rematch with the Russian fighter that knocked him out. Harold trained him differently, got him to work more, be more patient. And this is going to be interesting because he will have to change his style again. And Harold is a student, a boxer. Harold claims not to be a trainer, but a teacher, and that's very important. He will have studied Tyson Fury. He would have worked out a plan that may work, but it will be up to Dillian to carry that plan out in the ring. And then we go across to Tyson, who has the other trainer, who is the nephew of Emanuel Stewart, and who served his apprenticeship in the Kronk Gym as well under Emanuel Stewart. And he believes in the big punches, big bombs like Emanuel. So you may see, and if he's like Emanuel, he may believe in carrying a lot of extra weight. I don't think the extra weight will suit Dillian. Dillian needs to be quick on his feet, just be able to work in right. If I was working with Dillian Whyte, I would want Dillian Whyte to fight like Joe Frazier fought against Muhammad Ali in their first fight. 3 minutes every round. Work for 3 minutes. Throw punches from every angle. And have a good defence. You know, Tyson's a good fighter, and I have a lot of respect for Tyson as a fighter, as a human being. A little bit different. But I don't believe Tyson can work for 3 minutes every round. And that may be the only way Dillian might be able to outwork him. Tyson's going to be red hot favourite. And obviously Tyson's trainer, Sugar Hill, is going to be, his tactics is going to be interesting. Is he going to send him out to box, feel him out, and then look for the big bomb? Because, he has become a better puncher under this new trainer. I think Peter Fury was a great trainer. And I think Tyson would still be where he is today if he had stayed with his Uncle Peter. But obviously there was a clash there, and he moved on. He took a trainer, didn't he, in between, who I'd never heard of. And some of you call him the boxer-sized trainer when I read about him. Ben Davis, interesting to read. And then obviously the new trainer's coming from the Kronk, Sugar Hill, and he's totally changed. And he seems to have a great relationship with Tyson, and that's very important. And Tyson has stayed and trained in the UK because they're fighting in the UK. Dillian's here in the Algarve, which is on UK time, so that's no different. Probably Dillian's had the better weather to train in and better runs, but, will that help him? We will find out on the 23rd. But if I was Dillian, I would think about what I'm going to do this week coming up to the fight, because I wouldn't want to give Frank Warren any ammunition to withhold my purse money or put it into escrow. I'm not saying he will do that, but, he may take legal advice, because Frank does like taking legal advice on situations. And he may sue Dillian, who knows? Well, this could be interesting. Or more to the point, could Dillian get an injury before the fight, the week before the fight? It's Dillian's biggest purse day. If he wins, he gets an extra 4 million, I believe, and he becomes the champion. And everyone will say he played a clever game. Dillian is actually playing a game of poker, a game of bluff at the moment. And it'll be interesting to see if it will work in his favour or work against him. I'd love to see some of your comments on this. Fury's Fury. I watched his latest interview describing Dillian Whyte. He doesn't seem to worry about it. Fury doesn't worry about anything, does he? I quite like that attitude, but I do believe a fighter has to have a little bit of fear in him, and be able to control that emotion. The one question is, will after the fight, whatever the result, will the two fighters make it up? Will we see them embrace each other? Because there's a lot of bad blood there between the camps, so it'll be I'm sure the trainers will have great respect for each other, because they are professionals, they are Americans. And on that thing of professional, I'd just like to say this. I watch so many YouTube interviews. I watch all the boxing stuff. Can someone please tell me, why do the boxing fraternity think they have to swear in every interview? Does it think it makes them macho? You listen to footballers, they don't swear. You listen to golfers, they don't swear when they're being interviewed. But every other word out of a boxer's mouth on YouTube is a swear word. Do they not realise they're role models for young kids? And the same with promoters. I'm quite surprised how many of the promoters like to use, the F word when they're talking or something else. It's as if professionalism in interviews and good manners have gone out the window. Or am I wrong? You decide. You're the public. You're the paying fans. You're the people that make boxing what it is. Because without you, there is no boxing. Maybe you like that. I don't know. I didn't like it when I was a promoter. I don't think I swore in many of my interviews. I didn't like my boxers swearing either. Because I see us as role models, or the boxers as role models, because they are the most important people in this. Anyway, roll on April the 23rd. Dillian Whyte, Tyson Fury, trainer against trainer. Very interesting.